and thought it was really cool, only to find out that you can't own one because it's banned for bizarre reasons. Or it might be some really cool concept car that isn't being made because it's too powerful or too efficient. Or maybe that body kit is just too exotic for the street. Whatever the reasons, some of these cars are either unavailable or against the law to own and drive. The Lamborghini Diablo Strosek is an incredibly expensive and rare car that was redesigned by a car tuner named Vittorio Strosek for extremely wealthy customers that wanted to change the look for their Diablo. The front bumpers were replaced with rounder versions of the original, the front turn signals were replaced with aftermarket lights, and 2 polyellipsoid units were installed in place of the pop-up headlights. The original exterior rear-view mirrors were replaced with an altered design that were mounted high up on the doors. The rear spoiler became integrated between the rear light clusters that could be adjusted for more downforce. Other changes to the car were redesigned side air intakes in front of the rear wheels, and the rear bumper now had 2 big bore exhaust pipes. 18-inch magnesium wheels rounded out the package. There were not many changes to the interior, and there was little information about any changes done to the engine. But Strosek isn't known to modify the engine, just the body and the interior. So, what makes this car illegal? Some of you probably guessed why by now. The car isn't banned because it's too fast or too powerful. Instead, it is because of the oddly placed rear-view side mirrors and the aftermarket headlights that make this car dangerous and illegal to drive on the road anywhere in the USA. But you could see one on the roads in Europe. Fuel-sipping cars have been around a lot longer than you might think. The Volkswagen XL1 was one of those concept cars that could do way better, and it could be driven 235 miles on just 1 US gallon of gasoline. Although the design isn't new and was first introduced in 1999, and Volkswagen built its first prototype called the 1-liter 1L in 2002. The car is longer, lower, and wider at 5.5 feet wide, and it only sits at 45.5 inches tall. That's lower than a Lamborghini Gallardo Spider. Its tapered profile, small frontal area, and active louvers make this car very aerodynamic with a drag of 0.186 CD. So, what's the trick for getting that many miles out of a gallon of gasoline? The XL1 is a hybrid-powered vehicle with a small 27-horsepower electric motor that is sandwiched between an equally small 47-horsepower 0.8-liter 2-cylinder turbo diesel engine with a 7-speed dual-clutch manual transmission. The car weighs a measly 1,752 pounds. That's 200 pounds less than a Lotus Elise. Most of the car's body panels are made of carbon fiber reinforced plastics. All this reduces how hard the 2 small engines need to work. It all sounds good getting 235 miles a gallon, and this car was supposed to go into production in 2013, but it doesn't look like it's happening, and it could be because of its incredible fuel efficiency, and the big oil companies probably have a big tight grip on what kinds of fuel-efficient engines can go into production. You've probably seen those tiny smart cars on the road and maybe wondered how so small of a vehicle could be legal. Well, things have changed. The United States is particularly strict when it comes to what kinds of vehicles are allowed on the road, and these cars have to pass a safety inspection. The Smart Crossblade is like owning half a smart car, and it's clear by looking at the car why it was banned in the United States. The Crossblade has a 3-cylinder engine that has 70 horsepower and 73 pounds-feet of torque, mated to a 6-speed transmission giving it 44 miles per gallon. It doesn't have a roof and has a bar where the door belongs to keep passengers inside. We don't need to tell our brilliant viewers that this offers little protection in the event of a collision. And forget about keeping the bugs out of your teeth. It's also missing a windshield, making it much more dangerous than you can imagine if you were to drive this thing on busy roads. And just imagine a tiny rock making its way into your forehead at 40 miles per hour. Just half of its top speed of 80 miles per hour. But it's not just the Smart Crossblade that is banned in the USA. The electric Fortwo, which is the only smart car model offered in the USA, was given the axe, and production of this car ended at the close of 2019. But it wasn't because the car was dangerous. In fact, the regular Smart passed many safety tests. The reason the car is no longer offered in the USA is due to the fact that only 12,076 Smart vehicles were sold in the USA during 2018. Sales of the car will continue until they are all gone, so chances are you could pick up a rare car no longer made in the USA. The 2001 Lotus 340R has been called the purest driving machine on the planet. There are only 340 of these cars that exist, and before they were even built, they were already sold. The 340R is a compact driving machine with a rear deck that has a large wing attached to it and the stainless steel exhaust system completely exposed right underneath it. Based on the Elisa, the 340 has a 1.8-liter inline four-cylinder engine that produces 177 horsepower at 7,800 RPM and 126 pounds-feet of torque at 5,000 RPM. It doesn't sound like a real powerful car until you consider the 340R's scant 1,485 pounds. That's almost the same power-to-weight ratio as a Ferrari 360 Modena. It can run 0 to 60 in just 5.0 seconds and can run a quarter mile in 13.6 seconds at 100 miles per hour. The thing is that when this car was produced, there were no plans to ship it to the US, even though all 340 cars were spoken for. Despite the fact that this car was never imported to the US, you'd have a hard time finding one and licensing it for the road. There is no roof to keep the elements out, and the windshield is almost useless after 80 miles an hour due to the wind buffeting. And don't forget about that shiny exposed stainless steel exhaust and muffler right under the rear wing. Anyone touches that, and they'll leave some skin behind. The car is also very responsive and powerful, and it needs an experienced driver to handle it. Taking many components from the entry-level Tamora, the TVR T350 was designed and built to start a new race series. The glass-reinforced plastic body helped reduce the weight of this car down to 2,617 pounds. And as the design of this new race car evolved, it became apparent that this car could also be highly viable for the street. The small two-door Roadster was only manufactured between 2002 and 2006 and has TVR's race-winning Speed 6 3.6-liter engine that produces 350 horsepower, hence part of the car's name. Owning one of these cars might be a scary experience because the company that made them has now gone out of business. But if you're in the USA, you'll probably never see one of these cars because it was banned in the USA for being unsafe. At first glance, the 1991 Nissan Figaro looks like a car that was made in the 50s or 60s, but this little retro car actually predated retro cars from Volkswagen, Ford, Mini, and Chevrolet. The little car debuted at the Tokyo Motor Show in 1989, and everyone wanted one when they saw it. Nissan launched Figaro sales in Japan on February 14, 1991, and it was limited to 20,000 units. There was so much demand for the car that a lottery system was put into place. What buyers got was a two-seat convertible coupe built on the Nissan Micra K10 platform. The convertible top is retractable and folds into the trunk, and the car's body panels are made of thermoplastic resin. Inside, the interior and seats are covered in white leather, and special paint is used on the dashboard to make it feel soft. It has a 1.0-liter turbocharged version of Nissan's four-cylinder engine. The Figaro produces 76 horsepower and 78 pounds-feet of torque. It also has a 3-speed automatic transmission. Nothing can prepare you for the size of this car. And if the situation ever arose, you could drive it on golf cart paths, says one guy that knows this for a fact. But this car wasn't offered in the USA because it couldn't pass safety tests, and likely it didn't survive crash tests very well, all due to its size. However, there are dealers who can import one of them for you for $20,000 to $25,000. Just don't expect to license it and have it pass safety inspection. But if you're like Jay Leno and just want a garage piece, here it is. An absolutely beautiful piece of machinery, the 1993 Jaguar XJ220S was one of the fastest cars on Earth in the 90s with a 3.5-liter twin-turbocharged V6 engine capable of putting out an astonishing 680 horsepower and 526 pounds-feet of stump-pulling torque. Not bad for a V6 cylinder engine. There were only 6 road versions of the XJ220S built in 1993, and they were mostly composed of carbon fiber, except for the doors, and not the all-aluminum bodies of the standard XJ220. The only reason this car was banned from being imported into the USA was because of its unsafe high-speed threshold. The interesting thing about this car is that we discovered a rumor that one of these cars had actually made it to the USA. And while trying to find this car, we ran into an old article on Motor Authority published back in January 2012 who said an outfit by the name of RM Auctions was going to be auctioning one of these ultra-rare cars. The owner had work done to the car, including a $20,000 exhaust system installed by an expert flown in from Spain. Nothing like having endless amounts of cash. And it's estimated that the price was around $225,000 to $300,000. All this means that somewhere in the USA, someone may be driving an illegal Jaguar XJ220S.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and hit that subscribe button so that you won't miss any of our future videos.